My name is Michelle Hogan, and I teach high school Spanish in upstate New York. I have always liked technology, and in my school, I am considered an early adopter or pilot person, if you will. I was one of the first to use Google Docs, Edmodo, Microsoft OneNote. I have an untethered classroom, and I use my smartboard for more than just showing movies. I really like technology, and what I was beginning to believe by using it more and more was that there may be a link between technology and student attention, retention, and output. So nearly 2 years ago, after some research on the best programs for me, I decided that I would embark on a new career path and enroll in the MET program at BSU. I must say, though, in all honesty, that my desire to know more about technology was not the main reason I enrolled. After 12 years of teaching, I was seriously considering leaving. I had become extremely disillusioned with the education system and the students within it. It seemed like things were changing every year for the worse. I was not reaching the students the way I used to. And the sad fact is that I'm not the only one. I was not the only one. Everywhere I went, I kept hearing the kids were worse than last year. They had no work ethic. They were not engaged. They were lazy. And this gets draining year after year. So instead of leaving education altogether, I thought that by getting this degree, I might be able to combine my love of technology and gain knowledge that could possibly help teachers who felt like me and possibly make a difference in their students' lives. The amount of knowledge I gained in the MET program at BSU is monumental. My initial knowledge levels in the classes I took ranged from 0 to some only. I found out that my interest in and attempted use of technology merely scratched the surface. Still, out of the many projects and assignments I created, there are a few that stand out. The course I developed for my instructional design class EdTech 502 is one artifact that changed many things for me. I designed a course for people who wanted to learn how to create the most complete and beneficial LinkedIn profile possible. This was a challenging assignment, being that there are so many facets to design that I never truly considered. Facets such as guiding models like empiricism and constructivism, needs assessments, task analysis flowcharts. I had no idea the amount of work that went into designing a course. It was equally challenging, being that I didn't have a completed profile myself and was learning as I was going. Through this process, I learned that I was not a truly efficient teacher. I created new tools and incorporated new strategies each year, again and again, based on what I was doing at that moment. I never took into consideration the desired goal first. The concept of planning with the end in mind was like a light bulb going off for me after 12 years of teaching. Why didn't I already know this? This learning made one of the most significant changes in the way I was currently teaching. Another benefit of this course was the completed profile itself. Because of it, I have a new job opportunity. I can also speak with confidence about a tool that is extremely powerful to those people entering the job market and to those who may want a change of career. The second artifact I chose was created in my Internet for Educators class, EdTech 502. I created a web quest for my Level 3 Spanish class. The task was to fulfill the wish of a grandfather upon graduation. The students were given $5,000 in order to plan a 10-day trip to one of 3 given countries. They had to research the country, plan an itinerary while staying within budget, and then reflect on why they chose the country they did, and if the trip would have worked out both time and money-wise. The reason I loved this project is that I had been reading a little here and there about project-based learning, and I wanted to try it in my classroom. The problem was that I was extremely set in my ways about the routine of my class. I had 20 vocabulary words a week, computer room on Thursday, homework on Tuesday, quiz on Friday. It worked. There was no guessing, and the content got covered. It was also boring and not reaching my students anymore. But how could I take my cut-and-dry approach to material delivery and spice it up with projects? I found the answer in this class: culture. I could embed the content within cultural topics and it would still be covered in an even better way. By the end of the class, I had a better understanding of how I could do it. But would I? It's not as easy as it seems, but I whittled away at it and created a lesson here and there. If I was staying in the classroom, which I'm not, I would be inclined to eventually transition to a much more project-based learning than traditional, in that by nature, I'm a behaviorist, but I have an inner desire to be a constructivist, and this would be one way I could let that constructivism out. The third artifact I chose that was meaningful to me was the Google site I created in my advanced online teaching course at Tech 523. This was another one of those moments where things happen for a reason. The assignment was to create a fully functional communicative website of our choice, and I chose to create a tutorial-based site for my school district. At first, I was going to focus on Google Apps for Education, a tool we use called My Learning Plan, and I would also offer tutorials on our learning management system, SchoolFusion. I chose Google Sites as my platform, and even though I had created a couple of sites prior to this, there was still a bit of a learning curve with this tool. One of the primary goals for the class was to include a source for sharing, a community aspect. So I was exploring Google Hangouts when my instructor scheduled a Google Hangout for the students in the class as a means to address any questions, discuss concerns, or troubleshoot any problems. It was during this hangout that I decided to change my project a bit. It was still going to be a tutorial site, but it was going to be all Google focused. It would be a site for help and information on the majority of the main Google apps. This could still help my district as we're a Google Apps for Education school, but it would be something I could use in more than one venue, for instance, the local college. So I included a Google Hangout in groups for the communication piece. I created how-to videos on Google Docs, and I incorporated a visual, oral, and kinesthetic aspect to nearly every page as a means to reach more learners. It just so happens that halfway into the project, I found out that I would not be keeping my job for the following year due to budget cuts. This site that I eventually started sharing helped me to be selected for several interviews and could be used in a new job that I am considering taking. I still look at it to this day and am proud of what I accomplished. I hope to put the finishing touches on it this summer. The last artifact that I chose, which I feel had a meaningful impact on me as a person, was in my evaluation class at Tech 505, the last of my program. Again, last probably for good reason. This class was different than most any of the other classes I had taken because it was in an area that I was completely unfamiliar with. At Tech 502 was very similar in that I had never used HTML or CSS before, but when I created something and the verification piece checked out, I knew that I had done it correctly. It might not have been perfect, but that verification told me I was on the right track. This class was different because every time I had to hit the submit button for an assignment, I never knew if I was on the right track. I did not know if the assignment would come back with comments such as, "What were you thinking?" or "This is great." The goal of this class was to create and administer an evaluation of a system or program, not a person or people like I was used to. So I chose to evaluate Google Sites as teacher web pages in my school. This also was an actual evaluation, not a hypothetical assignment of which I might or could do in the future. This meant that I needed to burden other people, my superiors, with questions and jobs that they really didn't have time for. In the end, it would ultimately benefit the administration to have the knowledge that Google Sites was regarded as a successful communication tool by only about half of the faculty and staff. Many set the site up but had not used it since, and there were some that had not even created a site. Most felt that there needed to be more professional development and training. This news came as a surprise to the administrators in charge of this requirement, and they made space in the next superintendent's day for more training. They also decided to conduct their own survey next year after a few more training opportunities. Regardless of the results, I grew professionally in this class more than any other for a few different reasons. The first being that I had to believe in my abilities to complete the work without the help of the teacher. It is not that this teacher would not help, but I believe it was his intent to let you discover for yourself. This caused me a great deal of anxiety because, as I said, when I would submit the assignment, I would not know if I was right or wrong. It turned out that each time I was right, and ultimately my work used as an exemplar, but the path to believing and trusting in my ability was rough. I also had to believe in myself as I was presenting my work to my very intelligent superiors. I needed to portray my intelligence as well. As I sat in front of my assistant superintendent, director of IT, and communications specialist, and actually listened to what was coming out of my mouth, I believed a little more in my ability. Until this point, I had never really thought about one of my goals being the intangible concept of competence. I realized after this course how important that really is to me. I started this degree nearly 2 years ago as I was working full-time and also running a very active family. I didn't necessarily have time for a degree, but knowing that I was at a point of disillusion and possible burnout, I knew that I had to make time for a change. Fast forward to today, and as I sit and reflect on all that's happened in the last 2 years, I'm proud to have had the courage to enroll in this advanced degree program, knowing the amount of hard work and dedication it was going to take to succeed. I'm impressed at the new network of people that I have had the privilege to meet and work with, knowing that I can call on them in the future if needed. I'm humbled by the vastness of the field of technology and its ever-changing properties. I accept that I will need to continue the study of this field every day in order to keep up with current knowledge. And finally, I am excited to embark on a new career path as I leave the classroom for the last time. Thank you, Boise State.